This is Revenue Marketing Raw. No fluff, no vendor pitches. Just the truths your CMO won't say out loud. Featuring Jeff Pedowitz and Dr. Debbie Gagish. Let's go!
We are live.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going today?
It is going great, except we were just talking about this, getting those house repairs. So this week is the roofers.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have a headache before, boy.
Yeah. Well, we also have construction going on, and thank goodness they're not pounding whatever the hell they're pounding right now. So I'm with you. And we were also talking about, wow, is it hard to get good construction help? It's just, it's crazy. I guess everybody's going out and
good help, period.
Yeah, I guess they're going out and working in technology, Jeff.
That's got to be it, right? They're all getting these AI jobs.
I know this is way off topic, but these words literally left my mouth last week. I no longer believe that young people need to have a college degree to be wildly successful. I've always been a big proponent of education, but if you think about it, the talent that's coming in just needs to have an open mindset and, critical thinking skills. And they just, they can just go to town from there, especially with AI.
I think if you look at the cost of what a 4-year degree is compared to relative outcomes, and they could be hotly debated. But so we were just, as usual, trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about today, and we came across that market scale study.
Yes.
That said 95% of B2B marketers using AI, which, okay, we knew that, but that less than 4 in 10 say it's working. And I think...
What was that percentage again?
Less, about 4 in 10, so 40% say it's working, I was sort of surprised by that, only because...
No, you weren't.
No, not...
You couldn't have been surprised by it, Jeff.
Well, I was surprised in the part where, hey, they've been using it to generate content and be more productive, and they've been under siege to be using more AI. Part of me was a little surprised in that they didn't felt like they were, of how they were using AI for, that they would have said, hey, we are producing more content. It's been helpful. So that part surprised me, not the part where, okay, getting into agentic workflows and redesigning their teams and doing some other stuff. That part, okay, I could see that.
But the fact that the majority are not getting an uplift or results that they expected, that should not be a surprise. That's something that we talk about all the time, is how there's this wild, reckless, abandon, let's just get AI and throw shit against the wall. And this recent study shows exactly that. They're just getting it and just throwing crap on the wall, to see what sticks, and not in any kind of scientific way as well. And it's really interesting because those people who are getting uplift and who are getting results that are beyond cheaper and faster, those are the organizations who are being very intentional about where and how they are using AI. So again, the bright, shiny toy, the throw it up against the wall, let's just, everybody says we have to get AI going in marketing. That frantic activity is not doing anybody any good.
It is that lack of planning, right? It's not so much the tools themselves, which
are
very strong, right? I think it's more on, again, the process, the strategy, planning.
I agree.
The lack of investment in people. I think, well, sure, everyone's getting an individual license now, but I see very little organizations making any effort to train their team on how they should be using it, how to develop a use case, how to develop good prompts. What does a workflow look like? How do I prioritize my use cases? What is my strategy and planning? And it's we talk about this all the time in that regard. Why are they surprised nothing changes? They're approaching AI the same way they've approached everything. We lived through the ABM revolution, right? That was going to change everything. People went out and bought 6 cents and demand-based, but they weren't really doing ABM, even though they convinced themselves that they were. All these years of MarTech and marketing automation just to use it as an email blasting tool. And people haven't updated their scoring models since 2005. Yeah. So It's sad, right?
But again, failure at two levels, not only at that tactical level for the people having to use it and to begin to not use it as described from above, but create new uses for it that is applicable to what they do, but also a failure in leadership and being more strategic around where and how to use AI to make a difference in the business.
Do you feel like that when people talk about AI, like they've talked about every other wave, it's they cite a bumper sticker recommendation, like, it's all about the data, it's all about the process, and we're using AI for this, like some trite phrase to make them sound like they're doing something more. Like same thing with customer experience. Oh, we're 100% behind the customer experience. We do it, but they don't do shit. They just, it's.
You know what we call that in the South? We call that jaw jacking.
Jaw jacking.
That's all that's all they're doing. And we see that, we see that in sales organizations, we see it in marketing organizations, we see it in customer success organizations, but we spend so much time really focused on those marketing organizations. And I wish we did not see that so much. And again, one of the things that I keep coming back to this year, and I'm actually in the process of writing my next LinkedIn post about it, is you've got to give these leaders some space to be able to stand back, get off that hamster wheel, and begin to think more strategically about the business and how AI changes the business itself. And there's just no breathing room. I just feel like marketers are suffocating in stuff. What do you see, Jeff?
They are. I think this pressure to do more with less. So they're putting out more campaigns, more content, more AI slop, but not really moving the needle. And versus,
let's give them a new bumper sticker: do less with more.
Well, there you go.
and make a revenue impact, right? Instead of do more with less, do less with more and make a revenue impact. How about that one?
I like that.
You like that one?
Starts to get a little long for a bumper sticker, but maybe we can put them side by side. But when people do talk about data, I think not the market scale study, but I think it was Gartner that said that the average buying committee now is up to like 11, some 11.2.
Is that crazy or not?
Which is, I don't know where the 0.2 comes from, but shit. 11 people.
It's an average, Jeff.
Yeah,
it's an average. It was not rounded up. I'm not a math major. Even I know that one.
0.2 of a person. I don't know.
That's right.
Just round it down or up. I don't know.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, but whether it's 11 or 12 or 15, and we know that we've been talking about it. I think the marketers that are getting it right are taking the time to really think through that data model. Like, okay, how do I make sure I'm getting data on these 11 people and I'm storing them in my systems and I'm building my intelligence layer on top of it. I'm not just relying on the one person that sales adds to the deal as my main contact. There's back to what you said a few minutes ago, there's intentionality behind it. Because I think it's so easy to say, we need good data to make AI run well, but what are you doing about it? I think the better marketers are actually doing something about it.
I think that's absolutely true. And I want to go back to this story of 11.2 average number of buyers, that have to sign off, touch, review, do something in that buying process. And many years ago, I worked with an organization, and one of the things that we did was that we would map the buyer journey or the sales process, and they'd be mirrors so that what sales doing, what customer would be doing. And then the salesperson would actually use that map, that buying journey, to say, here's how our clients typically go through the buying journey with us. And these were large technology, complex deals. And what it allowed the salesperson to do was to help the main person that we were working with, or the main few people that we were working with, to consider early in the process what that whole buying process would be like, who would need to touch it. And then we enabled them to we enable that process for them, right? Through that education that we did. And because again, people are busy. If you have to touch 11.2 people, what if in our sales process we said, typically 11 people touch, here's the kind of people that we see, here's the kind of things that they need. How can we help you make sure that everybody that's involved needs to be part of this discussion? And then to your point, making sure that the marketing organization has these people and they're not coming into this totally blind. They know something about your company.
In particular, if you're
problem, right?
maybe if you're selling to SMB, you're not dealing with 11 people, but
right.
If you're selling to mid-market enterprise, you are. And okay, so you have your standard main buyer, your main persona, that's in your ICP. But more and more, you're dealing with IT and infosecurity. You're dealing with procurement. You're dealing with legal. You're dealing with finance and accounting. And those are all. One of those could end up being your buying group, sure. But then you're so in addition to whoever else you're selling to, and I think so much the sales cycles are still optimized around the product or the service and then the features and the capabilities and doing the fit. Okay, let me find a problem and map it. But very little of it focuses on all those other dimensions.
Yeah, how we can help you get this bought in your company. We've done this a few thousand times. We have lessons learned.
These are the 20 questions that InfoSecurity is going to ask. This is the ROI model that finance is looking for.
Right.
This is the comparison grid that procurement needs. All those things. And that just makes it easier if you're truly being customer centric then. And so that's when we're talking about fix your data, we're not just talking about the clear and obvious stuff like dedupe and tightening up your fields and governance. Of course, that's important, but it is these other things, being more strategic about the data that you are acquiring so that you can then turn around and serve your market better. But I think the second part of the problem is, we're definitely in a Roadrunner coyote world now where every time the marketer thinks they've got it and they've captured it, the cheese moves again, right? So I think that's what's happening now with searches. And I think Google just said it's like 68, 70% now, zero click search. That's mind-blowing.
That is mind-blowing.
For you and I spent 30 years almost now in this search dominated world, it's changing overnight. And I just, marketers are. Do you
remember who came out with that citation? I think it was Google.
I
think it was Google too. But anyway, that's hair raising. You're absolutely right. So if they're not clicking, where are they?
Because that same report said that the AI overview, the thing that you get now when you search in Google, it gives you the AI overview. It hit 2.5 billion users.
That's crazy.
So that means even if you were on page one end of last year to start the year, your ass is getting pushed down, because that AI overview is dominating, and then people aren't going to click through anymore because they can get their answer right there.
That's right there.
And they get checked. But I don't think the adoption we've still seen with companies to take up AEO and treat this as mission critical is still way slower. It
is very much still lagging, and I guess we'll have to get a shovel and hit them in the head for them to really get on board with this, and they'll keep needing to.
I got the roofers right outside. I can get their hammer.
You got the roofers. That's right.
Smack their ass in the head.
And again, that is a big change, I think, for a lot of marketing organizations, given how they spend money to make. But these numbers keep coming out. Results keep not being good. And if anybody just uses ChatGPT, even once a day, or if you go to Google, it's right there. AI is right there. You just can no longer ignore the need to be a part of that ecosystem. It's no different than when the first website got built, and rather than the salesperson, then it went to the website. And then we started having social media, and then, then the buyers were there, and now they're using a different source, right? So you just have to follow where that customer is going to get their information. And that is not rocket science, right? That's just looking at the market and admitting. Do you think they are daunted by, what do you think is getting in their way of making that switch or putting more money in that area?
I don't know if it's a lack of understanding or a lack of sense of urgency. And in almost every case, I mean, people are seeing their website traffic nosedive. So why they wouldn't want to be prioritizing that when, inbound is such a critical part of B2B demand gen, it's beyond me. And even when they're doing it, they're so fucking slow. Because they're treating every AEO page like it's a standard web page. No, it's got to meet brand guidelines. We need pictures and calls to action. Like, no, you don't. It's how you're writing a page for AEO is not the same as writing it for your standard web page. Yeah. So the AEO works best when you get into a steady cadence. You get the right content and you get your pages going, and then you're amplifying it with additional channels. And because AI is so fast, if you're putting out a page every 2 weeks or once a month, you're not really doing AEO. You should be putting out a couple pages a day once you get going. I could see getting like the plan in the beginning. So that's been an issue. I think it's just one of these things. Maybe it's because you spent 20 years doing brand and SEO and you've learned how to build a website. It's one of those embedded lessons. It's hard to unbreak the habit. So maybe that's part of it. I think there's a lot.
When we talk about reimagining the job and the role of marketing, that's all part of what we're talking about. What worked for us in the past will not be working for us now and in the future.
Which is really interesting to see. It's not just marketing executives. We see other business executives. They're still trying to solve new problems with the old way of making a decision.
Yes, they are, Jeff.
And that's only going to get you that far.
I remember when I was working on my dissertation, there was this one theory that I thought was the most ridiculous thing I had ever read. And I asked my dissertation chair, why do they allow this crap? And she says, well, basically, some person who wrote's got to die before we can go on and move forward with some other theories. And I'm like, that is so interesting, but we build these realities, or what we think are reality, around our world of work. These are things that we've always done. These are things that we're comfortable with. And even if you at some level understand the amount of change that's going on in the market right now, we see that a lot of people are still very slow to want to make that change. They have enough change being thrown at them without them also thinking about what they need to change. However, I will say this, if they take more control of that story, then marketers won't be told so much what to do. Again, they'll be able to lead with that. So,
do you think, not that you and I were ever big advocates of clicks anyway, because we've always been focused on the revenue side, but given that almost 70% now are clickless searches, do you think the CTR is dead as a metric?
I think it depends on the industry a little bit. Again, we focus more in fintech, high tech, big consulting. And I think in that world, it is true, because I think that the audience that is buying the technology and looking at these kinds of solutions are probably more tech savvy. But remember, there's a lot of people who don't use ChatGPT every day. So I think it depends on the industry. But I think for the industries that we serve, I think it is, or should be, a wake-up call for sure.
At a minimum, develop some net new metrics, right? And start finding and if you're one of the 6 in 10 that you don't feel that AI has been effective, what is it that you're hoping is an outcome? What is your KPI that you're shooting for? And then start there, because if you're just using it and you don't really have a North Star of what you're hoping to get, that's part of the problem too, I think, right? You want to kind of redefine that. Yep. So CMO comes in working.
I'm sorry, you know what we should do, Jeff? We should take one of the very, very early charts that we did on key marketing metrics, and we should update that to today And then we should maybe talk about that in one of our episodes. That would be really.
Ooh, I like that. Oh, we were doing financial, operational, and tactical outcomes, and we organized it by. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, we've been doing this. I've been doing it since 2004. Jeff, when did you start at
2005 at Eloqua.
2005 at Eloqua. That's exactly right. So it would be really interesting to see how key metrics change.
Well, maybe Deb, you and I will both get reincarnated. We can come back in 50 years. And hopefully.
And we can either say, I told you so, God damn it, or good job. I hope we say good job.
Marketing on Mars, and then doing something different. So how do we get our CMOs to do something different on Monday when they come into the office?
That's a good question. What do you think? What's an idea? What is something that they could do differently? And again, I'm just obsessed with this idea of thinking room, of finding a way to create some space and just stand back from the business that you run and really take a strategic look at it. Bring another CMO in with you just to take a look at it. Hell, bring somebody in who doesn't know anything about marketing so they can say your baby's ugly, because why would a business ever be doing things like this, right? But do something so that you can begin to look at your business differently. And that's at a high level. What would you suggest?
So I'd say, okay, so if it's not working, stop using it for a week. Turn it off. Nobody in your team can use AI for a week. Stop doing that since you're so convinced that's not doing anything. And then pick one use case, just one use case that what's the metric today? Why is this painful? Because it takes too long. You're not getting the right decision criteria. You want to save money. You want to make money, and then make that your team's focus for the month. Just do nothing but work on that one use case, and then measure after you get up and running and see what the delta is.
Or ask your team. How about that? What should we stop doing, and what should we be doing? Right? And or have like a AI revenue idea of the month. How can we use AI to make whatever kind of financial impact it is that you're trying to drive, right? And put some money behind it. So
or push the team. Instead of running from the failure and not getting outcomes, run towards it. Have a fuck up Friday. Have the team celebrate where you spectacularly bombed. And then share it.
I love that. I love that idea. A fuck up Friday. Yep.
There you go.
Share what didn't work, because there's, number one, there are great lessons to be learned for what to do next. But number two, it sets up a culture of, wow, we can try something and fail and it'll be okay. And that is the basis for innovation and creativity.
You give people permission, give them the autonomy and the courage to fail forward. And there's no better time to do that than with AI. That. And then maybe we come back in a couple of months and that survey gets run again and we get a different answer.
Hope so. That would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Do that. Yeah. All right. Back to construction over here. Back to construction over there. All right.
Thanks,
keep
Jeff.
building, everybody. All right.
See you guys next time. Bye-bye.